Hello and welcome back to Shakira Adair's Fashion History. Now today we will be getting into the fashion icons of the 20th century. So let's get into it. First up, we have Marlene Dietrich. Now, Marlene Dietrich was an actress from the 1930s. She also starred in a few silent films. But one thing I love about Dietrich is that she was one of the first bisexual movie stars to break out into the cinema. As you can see, she mixed feminine with masculine clothes. As you see, she is wearing male clothing, and that's one thing I admire about Dietrich. She was a great actress. She was German, and when Germany decided to invade, everything with World War II, she decided not to side with them, but she also know how to switch it up with the female looks. As you see right here, she is wearing Jean Louis, who is the same designer who created Marilyn Monroe's Happy Birthday dress, and she is wearing diamonds. And here she is again in a full when that coat, it like drips the floor. It's like a full fox. It's beautiful. And here she is again with this top hat and a cigarette. So very masculine and very androgynous. That's what she was, and I love that. Next, we have Wallis Simpson, the Duchess of Windsor. So Wallis Simpson, like I just said, she was the Duchess of Windsor, but she was very, very fashionable, very in the haute couture. You can kind of see she was very much of a minimalist. She never wore anything that overpowered her. Yeah, she had like such a big jewelry collection, one of the biggest jewelry collections to ever be sold at an auction. And here she is again. I'm obsessed with that hat. I love it. Next, we have Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker was one of the first Black people to break out into the entertainment business in general. She is American, but due to the racism in America, Josephine Baker moved overseas to Paris, where she said she felt more welcomed, and she was able to So she was a cabaret dancer and singer. So after a while she got older, and Paris is the main place in the world for fashion, is the fashion capital. So she decided to get more into fashion, and as you see, beautiful body. I'm obsessed with this dress. Here she is again. That is Josephine Baker. And here is a close-up of her face. I do think she was quite cute. The next we have is Gloria Guinness. If you hear that name, of course, you know the Guinness Book of World Records. Gloria Guinness was a Mexican socialite and fashion icon. She was one of the editors of Harper's Bazaar. And I think her husband had something to do with the Guinness Book of World Records. Sorry if I am giving you misinformation. But very fashionable, very beautiful. And I don't know. I just love to see her. I just love to see her fashion. I love to see what she wears. Her and I think Babe Paley are like up there with the fashion icons as well. I didn't include Babe Paley in here, but I do. She's on this list, but she's like not in the. You get it. The next we have is Madonna, and I love Madonna. She definitely is a fashion icon. I consider her, and I know she is, the queen of pop. So very legendary, a big huge body of work. Madonna in the late 80s and early 90s was huge on fashion, and not, just fashion. She was breaking records with her music and on her Blonde Ambition tour, and as well as starring in movies, Dick Tracy, and she came out with the legendary album I'm Breathless. Here she is at the Academy Awards in 1991 wearing a Bob Mackie creation and dripping in over $20 million of Harry Winston jewels. If you notice in the back, you can kind of see who that is. She was accompanied by none other than the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson. Here's Madonna on her Blonde Ambition tour in 1991. She is wearing a bustier corset by Jean-Paul Gaultier. Madonna worked very closely with Gaultier around this time, and she is still close with Gaultier. And this top and this entire tour revolutionized the pop industry for females. If there was no Madonna, there would be no Britney. If there was no Britney, there would be no freaking Ariana or any. The next we have is Zsa Zsa Gabor. And I love Zsa Zsa Gabor. I love everything about her. I love her cocky attitude. Like, she's so very cocky and blunt and mean. And I love that about her. Zsa Zsa Gabor was a Hungarian actress and socialite. She had many husbands and she was known for her diamonds, her furs, rubies, emeralds, pearls. Sometimes she wore her faux jewelry in public, but she was definitely not a fake woman. Known for her just beauty and style, she was known to she in the 80s she slapped a cop, like slapped the cop in around on the face, and she went to trial wearing Chanel suits. So that's what I'm talking about. This is Zsa Zsa Gabor, and I'm obsessed. I love this. The next we have is Diana Ross, and Diana Ross revolutionized the look for black um, entertainers. Just look at her. Diana Ross, here she is with the Supremes, where she started out, little girl group. Very fashionable as well. Here she is in the 70s with her afro. And just look at the material that she is wearing. Definitely a fashion icon. Very pretty. Here she is again in the 70s. I have a love-hate relationship with fashion in the... Pardon me. I have a love-hate relationship with the fashion in the 70s, but my Diana Ross definitely makes me love it. Here she is again. This is more of an Asian couture type design, but that's definitely Diana Ross, and I love that. Here she is again in a shoot, looking very glamorous with her hair and her fur. The next we have is Cher, another person that makes me actually like the 70s fashion. Cher is a disco pop singer and also an actress. Very beautiful. She was like very like stunning to look at. Her body, oh my gosh, she had a beautiful body. Cher was also known to wear a lot of Bob Mackie creations. So this is Cher. She is an American Armenian singer. She's wearing Bob Mackie right here. This design is made out of souful. It is the same material that Marlene Dietrich wore as well as Marilyn Monroe. Here she is again. Like, look at this. The nail, everything about her, I love. I think she is amazing, and I would love to see her in concert one day. The next we have is the absolutely divine, the adorable Audrey Hepburn, and she had to be on this list because it's Audrey Hepburn, and Audrey Hepburn is a Belgian British actress. Audrey was very slender, a very slender woman, not really having any curves. So she was very flat chested. She didn't really have a butt or hips. So she was just very slender. She was just straight up and down. Basically what you would call a twig. And Audrey wore a lot of Givenchy. And for the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, this is Breakfast at Tiffany's promo. And this is for the promo for the movie Funny Face with her and Fred Astaire. She's also wearing a Givenchy. Audrey wore a lot of Givenchy and Christian Dior. And Audrey worked closely with Hubert de Givenchy himself. I'm not sure who she's wearing here, but I want to say Christian Dior by the waist. Here she is again in Givenchy for Breakfast at Tiffany's. Here she is again in Givenchy for Sabrina, which is my favorite movie by her. She looks adorable in that movie. Next we have is Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy, and who was the wife of John F. Kennedy, and she was the first lady of the first lady of the United States at the time of Kennedy's presidency. Jackie Kennedy right here is wearing a wedding dress design by Anne Lowe, who was a black designer. And it's funny because Anne Lowe never really received credit for not just this design, but mostly any of her designs. But this is designed by Anne Lowe. Jackie really revolutionized the look for the First Lady of the United States. Here she is wearing the legendary, infamous suit that she is wearing right here. This is a Chanel suit, and this she wore this the day that her husband, or John F. Kennedy, was assassinated directly next to her in Dallas, Texas. And the suit was caked in blood and brains. And to this day, after her death, the suit is still caked in blood. She ordered it not to be washed, and her sister, I believe, or daughter, I think it was her sister, ordered that to stay in the National Archives. That suit is still hasn't been washed. It is in the National Archives, and it will not be shown to the public until the year 2103, which will be, I would say, around I think around 200 years or something from then. I don't know it'll be 100 years from, this century, but I think it'll be almost 200 years since then. So, yeah, or 150 years, that's when it will be. I think, I'm not sure, I'm kind of slow. The next we have is Naomi Campbell. And listen, I love Naomi Campbell, and I think she is the queen of the catwalk and a trailblazer for Black models. Naomi Campbell, I love her attitude. She's just so, like, cocky and, a little bit mean, and I love that. So what designer hasn't this woman wore? Right here, you see her wearing Versace. Here she is in Atadine Alaya. Here, I think this is Mugler. I think this is her wearing Terry Mugler. And just look at that. The next we have is Marilyn Monroe. And Marilyn Monroe is a big style icon, and she was known to not even really wear designer pieces a lot. She had a lot of custom-made pieces for her movies that they would let her keep. She didn't wear a lot of designer clothing unless it was like Emilio Pucci, and jewelry. Right here, she's wearing a design for the 7-year itch. This is by William Trevilla, or Trevilla. I think it's Trevilla. Right here, she's wearing the iconic gold dress, also designed by William Trevilla for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes promo. This pink dress that she wore to sing Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and is also by William Trevilla. And the jewelry on her neck, the diamonds are actually Swarovski crystals. Here she is again wearing William Trevilla for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And right here, she's wearing a big name designer. She is wearing Christian Dior, and she was photographed by Bert Stern. The next we have Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor, her style in the 60s and 50s and early 60s, she wore a lot of Dior, a lot of Givenchy. Here she is again in Dior. This is on her way to the Academy Awards, and when she won her first Oscar for Butterfield 8. And she's wearing Chanel here. Then later on down the line, from the 50s and early 60s into the 1980s, where after she had gained some weight, she lost that weight going into the Betty Ford Clinic. She started to do her fight for the HIV/AIDS community by opening up her own Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation. Right here, she wore a lot of Nolan Miller. I want to say that I'm not sure who that is. And this is her in the early 90s, and look at her. Like, she just was like, she didn't freaking age. Right here, this is at the launch of her perfume, White Diamonds, and she is wearing a suit by Mugler. The next we have Diana, Princess of Wales, or known as Princess Diana. Now, I love her fashion. I think that Diana really, she stayed a very sharp woman. And even after her divorce from Prince Charles and she lost her title, Her Royal Highness Princess Diana of Wales, she still was basically a princess. Just look at her fashion. Very sharp woman, very sharply dressed. I'm obsessed with this look right here. Very sharp. Look at the earrings and everything on that. Here she is again. I love this houndstooth print. Anybody who knows me knows that I am obsessed and I love houndstooth. And and she was like the one who really brought out the Christian Dior, Lady Dior handbag. She wore it everywhere. Here she is again wearing it, and it definitely suited her very, very well. The next we have Joan Collins. Joan Collins, like she was on the show Dynasty, and which was an 1980s soap opera, and the clothes were designed by Nolan Miller. And when I tell you this woman was sharp beyond belief. Joan Collins is that's what this look right here. Look at the hat. Look at that hat. Look at them earrings. Just look at that entire outfit. This is so sharp. The gloves, the jewelry, and the clutch go very well. And she's one of my biggest fashion inspirations. Here she is again. And again, I love this right here. Look at that. Just look at that. Very, very she's just so sharp. The next we have Diahann Carroll. And so not surprising, she was on the show with Joan Collins in Dynasty. Joan Collins played Alexis Carrington, and Diahann Carroll played Dominique Devereaux. They're both wearing Nolan Miller. Nolan Miller's definitely snapped. Here are the three starring ladies of the soap opera. We have Joan Collins to the far right, Linda Evans to the far left, and then we have Diahann Carroll in the middle, and they're all with their furs, and here is Diahann Carroll again. That is 100% Nolan Miller. I can't stress that. Diahann Carroll wore a lot of Cartier, like the jewelry Cartier. Here she is again. Diahann Carroll loved her furs. And here she is again. I love Diahann Carroll. Diahann Carroll is my favorite Black actress. She is a trailblazer for Black women, Black people, Black upcoming actors. Her diction, the way she speaks, she's very well spoken. She's very educated, and I love that about her. And she'll forever be an inspiration to me. Next, last, but definitely not least, we have Gabrielle Coco Chanel. And if you don't know who this is, then you can't possibly be into fashion. Coco Chanel, her last name says it all. She was the creator of the Chanel brand. Coco Chanel, regardless of her personal life, I'm not a fan of her personal life, a very like bitter woman, but she revolutionized fashion. Definitely. She revolutionized fashion for basically everybody. She created my favorite scent of all time, which is Chanel number 5. Just a fashion trailblazer, a businesswoman, a hardworking businesswoman. Like, she took fashion to the next level, and she was very hardworking. Her job very seriously, very hardworking, always making sure that her clients were dripped in pearls and diamonds and the classic suits. And Chanel, the brand, has been out since I say 1910. So it's one of the longest couture houses ever. And then she also was I think one of the first women to start wearing pants, because women never wore pants. Like, women always wore these really big skirts, and it was very hard for some equestrian type girls, if they wanted to ride horses or whatnot. They couldn't. They had to like sit sideways because they were wearing a dress. So she decided to put on pants, and Coco Chanel was kind of like Dietrich. She definitely was also androgynous with her style. That's why she created the women's suit. Here she is again. Coco Chanel didn't really create the women's suit, but she popularized it in the 50s when she came back out. But that is all for this video. These are my favorite fashion icons of the 20th century. So I am Shakir Adair, and stay tuned for more Shakir Adair's fashion history.